Hey everyone, it's Goose. I want to go ahead and make another video on charting with the 4-hour FVG. I'm looking at crude oil on the 4-hour chart right now, and it's October 7th. The futures market is closed right now. So right now I have this downtrend line that I'm seeing, this orange one, and I have this previous high price level charted out right now. And crude oil for the past couple of days has been on quite the grind, and it's been holding this green trend line that I've noticed. As you can see, this is the low, and it's bounced off of it twice. Now we're getting pretty close to this previous high and this orange trend line. So I'm looking to see price to get up here. But before we get there, I don't expect it to just keep going up. Now, before I get ahead of myself, I did notice there was another trend line, and I'm going to show you guys why I'm not going to use it. So if we get the high from, when is this? September 28th, 2023. Wow, that's really far back. You can see that we'll get the high of here. We'll go ahead and touch this point right here and get a couple of these from these highs. You can see that price has already broken above it. So I don't want to over chart and crowd out my charting here, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And now I'm going to go ahead and look for some FVGs. So we'll look at what happened today on the from the overnight session to close. We can see that price held this little support resistance area and managed to continue on the upside. Now we left this inefficient price area right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and mark this up from the wick of this green candle to the wick of this red candle. And now I don't think it's going to pull back just yet, or at least not that far back, because we also have this very small one. And now that the market is closed, the Asian session is going to be a bit slower, so it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen, if it's just going to chop around, maybe slowly melt off, come down to this area, hold it, and maybe for a potential bounce. Or a third option that it could happen is maybe into Euro session, there's a reason that, you know, something happens overnight and price actually comes up to test this area already and then comes back to reject it or break out. So we'll see. We need to see and wait for confirmation, wait for price to get to these levels on the 4-hour chart. Now I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I know there's another FVG from, this was July 19th. Now I'm going to go ahead and mark this up. We'll get the wick of the red candle there and the wick of this next candle. And as you can see, this is a significance of the midpoint on the FVGs. This is why I have it, is because once price breaks out, it'll want to eventually come back and rebalance in these inefficient areas. And we have to wait to see, is it going to bounce or reject? And in this example, it's perfect because it just couldn't get above and close above the midpoint, only to confirm that, yes, the downtrend is not over yet. As you can see, it finally came down. It tried to come back up, rejected. And I remember in the last video that I covered, it came back down to a previous low, and it finally came back up. However, look, price never actually filled the FVG, hence why it pulled back. And now, almost, when was this? Almost 2 months later, price is finally coming back into it, and we might see this get filled within maybe a day or two, and we'll see what happens, because either these are key levels now that we're looking for. we need to see that price can hold this FVG right here and this green trend line in order to come back up and test it. Maybe it just goes up to it and tests it. We don't know. And this is why I want to wait for price to get into these levels and see what it does, see the 4-hour candle closes in order to confirm which direction the price wants to go. So you could also add a fib level here, but because we're getting so close to this previous resistance levels, I don't want to add it until I get confirmation that yes, price is rejecting between 77.80 to maybe 78.11. And then I'll go ahead and add the fib. So, you know, it might fluctuate. Let's say it does, but I don't want to throw it in just yet until I see that price has rebalanced and then rejected here. And we don't know if it's actually going to reject, because this is one thing I've noticed, that once price comes to test a level or a trend line a couple times, eventually it's going to break. Think of like punching a wall. The more times you punch it, eventually you're going to break the wall. So price is going to act the exact same way. Now that I zoomed out, I'm also seeing this price level here that it looks like it's been acting as a previous support and a new resistance, support, resistance, and now we broke out. So if you look at this a little closer with the smaller FVG here, it's pretty close to the support level and this FVG. So maybe it does act as support for the continuation to the upside. So we'll see what happens in the next day or two. If we end up seeing a rejection, maybe it comes down by the end of the week or something. So hopefully this helps and clarifies a little bit more of the process of how I'm charting these FVGs and how they can be useful. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to throw them in study group, and I'll be happy to cover them in the next video or answer them in the Discord.